Good day everyone, welcome to a massively self-indulgent episode of Sounds from the Ziggurat podcast. Why do I say massively self-indulgent? Well, it's mainly because I wanted to use this platform to promote the new Rise of the Ziggurat single, This Is War, which comes out on Friday the 5th of June. Is this a professional thing for me to do? God knows. Do I give a fuck? Absolutely not. We're coming towards the end of an insane few weeks of worry and the unknown, so I'm having a bit of a blowout on this episode and celebrating a personal lockdown-based achievement. Fear not though, I do have some amazing acts still to come on future episodes of the podcast. Some brilliant artists have reached out with an insane amount of good music, and I can't wait to get stuck in. However, it will take a little longer to fully immerse myself in their audible delights and histories, but believe me, it will be worth it. I've spoken previously about the crazy amount of either new listeners or bots coming to the podcast, and it turns out it was probably bots. Audio Boom, where I host the podcast, has downgraded my numbers accordingly and given me this statement when I log into my analytics.
Audio Boom has now moved to the leading industry measurement standard IAB 2.0. Any listening since April the 1st has been counted under this new standard, giving you an even more accurate picture of your listening figures. You'll see a drop in the reported number of listens. Your real number of listeners is still the same, but the new measurement model filters out more phantom consumption. I did think something might be up, as this podcast is a little too niche for the numbers I was seeing, but it was still a satisfying ride while it lasted. It has also made me appreciate my proper listeners, all 7 of you, especially those that have been with me from the start. Thanks for listening. The first track is a new one coming from the absolutely bloody awesome Rapscallion. This song was made with stems from the Emily Dolan Davis Stem Club, where the renowned drummer makes available free drum stems for subscribers to her mailing list. The drums inspired and tingled Rapscallion's beautiful taste buds, and this rockin' number was born. We last played Rapscallion on the first episode of the podcast nearly 2 years ago, and I'm delighted to share this new track with you. This is Salt in the Sugar.
Place your hands upon my neck. Take the time to recompense. Spent your 9 lives living lies in your wake. Damaged dreams are trapped in your pillow. Phantom screams reflect off the window. Eyes and minds are close to the hero. Dirty suns blind you. Didn't think I'd notice you sipping on champagne as you put your salt into the sugar once again. Hey, this is my moment to waste. Hey, this is my moment to waste. We don't want to be disgraced. Hey, let me my moment. Take the bird out of your chest. Let it fly before it rests. In the meantime, criticize what you make. Damaged dreams are trapped in your pillow. Phantom screams reflect off the window. Eyes and minds were close to the hero. Dirty songs are blinding you. While we thought we left you standing at the gate. Swore I saw you pour salt in the sugar once again. Hey, this is my moment to waste. Hey, this is my moment to waste. We don't
That was Rapscallion. Check out the Worthing Wormhole on Facebook to find out about a cosplay Zoom party happening on the 3rd of July, which Rapscallion will be taking part in and playing a set from the comfort of his living room. The next track is from me, Rise of the Ziggurats, and it's called This Is War. I originally started this song in lockdown as a submission for a charity compilation album that wasn't meant to be. In the end, I'm kind of glad because it became something else entirely. The issue is, this wasn't even supposed to be a thing. I had a plan for this year. New songs had been written. My wonderful friend Lou had joined Rise of the Ziggurat on vocals, and we got some guy on bass. My brother-in-law was starting to document what we were doing with his big cameras and expensive lenses. I had applied to festivals and venues in the hope we would start getting gigs. I was cheekily tagging us in posts by one of my favourite bands, Sleigh Bells, to offer our support services as well. To finally get into a position where I was confident enough in the music to chase something a little bit more frivolous than my usual silent EP releases and casual acoustic gig, and then have that taken away was a little frustrating. But don't get me wrong, there are much bigger issues going on in the world right now and far more important things taking place that people are suffering through. Unity through these times is more important than ever. So the main reason I wanted to play the song in my own podcast, other than the fact that I can, is that it's a struggle getting music out there into the wilderness. Getting music on Spotify is only a celebration in my opinion because it represents the end of the recording cycle. From there you can be proud of sharing the creation you care about and have worked hard on with the world, or the 5 people that follow me there. The thing is, the actual process of getting one's music on Spotify is literally paying a company £20 a year and it's done. For example, I paid DistroKid something like £35 a year. It was 20 but I upgraded my package for some reason, I can't remember why. Then DistroKid sends my music out to online digital stores and streaming services. And that's it, aside from some admin I have to do to make sure everything's tagged properly and has the correct artwork and lyrics, etc. After that process, there are many things you can do to get your single noticed by the listeners, but it's very likely that you will get no recognition whatsoever without at least putting an ad campaign behind it, making a video, spamming it all over social media, and lots more. The ideal situation with Spotify is to get on their editors' playlists, which are hand-picked. Once your new single is ready to go, you submit the song to them for consideration. They have so much power, and I must admit I don't accurately know how it's wielded. My main problem is that I find some of these processes so cringeworthy. I feel uncomfortable pushing my music on social media, and without the money to get proper advertising, it won't get very far anyway. I notice a lot of artists put out a post every day. If it's a solo artist, even small amounts of news have a well-lit and often beautiful picture of the artist in question, which will lead to more follows and shares. I don't think people need to see my mug each day though, especially with lockdown here. I'm way too vain for that. So the next place to promote your music is an online portal called Submit Hub. Submit Hub is a website where you can submit your songs to blogs and influencers all over the world. You can narrow them down by genres and try to figure out which ones may be most receptive to your work. There are free and paid for schemes, with the paid ones usually offering some sort of feedback. Now I'm not bothered about the feedback at this point. The song sounds how it sounds and I just want the opportunity to get it in front of a couple more listeners. So I dabbled a bit, seeing how the process works and to see if I might have any luck. I didn't. I was provided with some feedback as I had paid for that tier of information, even though I was uninterested in what the reviewers had to say. The review from birp.fm said, "Sorry, I just couldn't quite get into the vocals throughout this song. Thanks for sharing though." Fair comment. Riptide Mag said, "Hey, thanks for submitting your track. Catchy track with qualitative elements. It sounds very qualitative, but a bit too dark in my opinion. All the best." I guess it is quite dark, and after googling the word qualitative, I would say I still have no idea what that means with relation to my song. Earmilk said, "Interesting arrangement. Somewhat rousing and cinematic, but doesn't rise to a plateau." Which is strange, because I thought all my track did was rise to a plateau, but hey, I'm not the professional blogger and song listener, am I? Indie Shuffle said, "Digging the guitar, just not sure the sounds were bright and fun enough for the blog." I'm glad that blogger did like my guitar sound, although it does remind me that my 12 months are nearly up and I'm going to have to start paying for the pedal soon. Of course, I'm not totally naive. They may just not like the song, and even more likely that they don't like my home production values of it either. They may just be letting me down nicely, and that's fine. I just thought I would share a couple of these processes with you listeners, as I've had chats with people about this sort of thing before, and sometimes find it an interesting discussion. Next podcast, I'll tell you about an online scheme called Hyped It, which I have recently been dabbling in as well. Anyway, This is where in my head I go full circle. I'm reminded that I make music for myself, but the reason I attempt to get it in front of more people is that different opportunities to make and play music for different crowds may come of it. And there's always the slim chance I could double my 6-year Spotify earnings to just over £5. Of course, there are many variables in releasing music, and in my opinion, it's a numbers game anyway, with the winner often the one to flaunt the most cash. So, this is why I'm sharing the song on my own podcast, because nobody else will. This is Rise of the Ziggurat with This Is War. That was Rise of the Ziggurat with This Is War. If you go to distrokid.com/hyperfollow/Rise of the Ziggurat/this-is-war, then you can pre-save the single, which is another cringy thing we have to try and get people to do nowadays to build momentum for the music. I think I'm just not cut out for the social media game, and that's fine. By the way, I just want to quickly mention that our bassist is Dave, formerly of Accolade, Fairweather Heroes and Infurion. He does rock too, but our Bantz game is strong, so I wanted to let him stew a bit before I mentioned him properly. Last year we saw legendary pub and venue the Pav Tav, formerly Shades, close its doors. This was not a surprise to me, unfortunately. Its decaying walls, flooding toilets and dodgy electrics were an obvious sign that something either needed to be done or that its days were numbered. And this is without knowing how it was doing financially. It was a large building, and I imagine the costs associated with it are enormous, especially being in the centre of town. I had many a good time upstairs in the Pav Tav. Rock, metal, indie and more were all covered at some point during my years clubbing there, and it was also host to many gigs upstairs and downstairs. I played downstairs with my band Infurion in the little alcove at the back right of the pub section, and I also played upstairs with Tapehead. My favourite gigs upstairs were solo acoustic slots supporting Dave McPherson from InMe, where I'd often also join Gazz Marlow on stage to provide some extra guitar layers, following our recording of his first EP, Seagull Samaritan. Although the place was far from its former glory at the time of closing, it is sad to see another one of Brighton's venues shut its doors, and this is before our current sad COVID situation. We'll have to see what happens, and remember to check out the Music Venues Trust that I spoke about in the last episode of the podcast to see what measures are being taken to help ensure awareness of the current plight of our venues. Before we dive into the first part of our chat with Gaz, we're going to play a song from his long in gestation solo album, Situations, speculated to be the reason that Pledge Music went out of business. This is Pieces.
Quite right, but I'll never let you down.
Gaz and I met in the Gladstone on Lewis Road. He had spotted my buddies and I having a pint in our Metallica and Offspring t-shirts, and he came to introduce himself and his band, Emulsion. Emulsion had a gig at the Pressure Point coming up, and these were the days where you would have to promote it manually. I miss these days. However straightforward it is to make and share an event on social media, for those that follow it, there's something special about being in a young band and sharing your enthusiasm with the world face to face. From there we became good friends, and I've been lucky enough to get involved in Gaz's solo work as an additional guitarist for a regretfully short amount of time, which was my fault, in his Emulsion follow-up band Dry Rise, as well as other fun DJ and promotional activities. Notable moments for Dry Rise, unfortunately all happening either side of my tenure, include coming third in a competition for the magazine Rock Sound for Sky TV channel Scuzz, which awarded them a video for the song The Big I Am, produced and financed by B-Sky B, and played nationwide on the channel. The Dry Rise cover of the Terminator theme by Brad Fiedel has amassed over 100,000 views on YouTube, and their cover of Curb Dog's Dragging Through was included on the band's official tribute album, alongside other artists such as Frank Turner and Jamie Lemon. I've been bugging Gaz to get the whole Dry Rise album, Under the Pretense of Strategy, out to online streaming sites, so hopefully that'll be available soon as well. Gaz now plays lead guitar in melodic rock outfit InMe, who released their new album Jumpstart Hope at the beginning of the year. Aside from playing in bands, Gaz is also a promoter and DJ, and one of the chaps behind a number of gigs and rock nights, specifically the long-running Gorilla Rocks, which takes place monthly at Envy, down on Brighton seafront. Well, I guess it did before lockdown. Hopefully it will resume again at some point soon. One of the greatest things I learned from Gaz over the years was the importance of patience. He is always happy to lend a hand, give advice, and be an honest source of encouragement and optimism. I'm very grateful for that. Catch Gaz live on Twitch on the 7th of June as he will be taken to the netwaves with his acoustic guitar and playing a range of songs from his back catalogues. He and I completed a test of his setup this week and it was sounding fabulous. We drop into the conversation on our third pub and possibly fourth pint of lager. I should have followed Gaz's lead and grabbed some mid-drinking kebab, but alas I did not, and you can probably tell. Our night carried on from there, ending up at the Bulldogs karaoke session, but due to a small incident we had to leave before I could perform DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince's Boom Shake the Room. Next time perhaps. Despite what I said earlier, remember to connect on social media if you have any bands you would like to submit to the podcast, or just fancy having a chat in general. You can find these shows on YouTube, all the podcast clients, and my Instagram handle is Rise of the Ziggurat. We'll be branching out a lot more after this, probably. In the meantime, be safe and aware. This is the first part of my chat with Gazz Marlow. Thanks for listening. How did you even get into music? What's your musical background? What kind of things got you into music at such a young age?
The way I got into music, I suppose, was basically first school. I went to Barcelona, and then back in the early 80s, as this would have been, they were teaching us recorder, and that was like a mandatory thing.
Yeah, we had a recorder.
When you're in I think it was like the second to last year of school, first school. Well, I don't know, not everyone has the same school system, I think, but we had like first school, middle school, and then secondary school.
Ours was primary and junior school, I think.
Okay, so yeah, it's probably the same thing, different name level. But went to this thing, they lent you a shitty recorder and they gave you a book called Tune a Day or something along those lines. And we did like lesson 1 where you just blew into the recorder and just like played a note 4 times, and like, well done. So did that. Anyway, but they let us take the recorders home and the books. Yeah. And so I got home and I can still remember, like, for some reason I did it in my brother's bedroom, I don't know, my bigger room or whatever. But I just did the entire book that night. Just went home, played through it, got to the final page, which the song was called Cuckoo, and it had lyrics, the cuckoo calls from the woods, and I played that.
What key was that in?
It would have been probably in C. Not messing around with sharps on the first go, eh? But then, yeah, we had the lesson the next week, and the teacher said, right, we're going to do page 2, and of course, because I was a little boffin and absolutely nervous, I put my hand up and I was like, I've done the whole book. She was, don't be absurd. No, you haven't. I have. And she said, okay, so show me that. So I played it. She went, oh, okay. Fair enough. So did that. And then at the end of that, she said, I'm going to write you out a piece of music for you to play. And the teacher then brought in the next week a handwritten copy of English Country Garden. Like, she'd drawn the stage, wrote the notes, blue pen, I recall.
I guess this was before computers when you were in school.
Yeah. I hadn't quite invented those yet. So gave me that. And then I went home, I learnt it, and I performed it in the next lesson. So my third lesson, I think it was, I did my first performance to like 30 people, and yeah, that was that really. I'd completed the recorder at that stage.
That's the kind of experience where you kind of go, I kind of like this actually.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you can define it as a life-changing experience if you will.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we had a teacher called Mr. Granger who nurtured me somewhat and sort of encouraged me, and again helped me, gave me more complicated sheet music than other people had access to, so I learned all of that. I then made the critical error of joining Recorder Club and becoming massively out of my depth, trying to play these complicated pieces like the theme tune to Tales of the Unexpected by Roald Dahl, and I was in these performances as like B recording, and I realised actually I'm nowhere near as good as these, but then these are the people who've been playing solidly 4 years, and I'd like
recorder nerds
accelerated or whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, then when I went into secondary school, my parents were like, do you want to play any other instruments? And I kind of felt that clarinet was a natural progression, so I took clarinet. And they also said, if you want, you can do another one. And I was like, well, I suppose guitar. I liked the idea of guitar, because for some reason
Why did you like the idea of guitar?
I don't know, to be honest. I think I liked the idea of an instrument that I didn't have to put physical effort into play, because you have to blow into a recorder, you know, you can't talk with it. I just fancied the idea of something I could do, like, sat in a chair, more chilled out or whatever. Didn't like the idea of violins, you hold it under your chin, it looks stupid, doesn't it? But however hot the girl playing the violin is, she looks stupid with a violin under her chin. I got to secondary school, started on clarinet, took grade 2, I think, and after that I felt I was pretty spent, and I said to my parents I'd had enough, because it was like the in-betweeners. People were like, briefcase wanker, because you do look like an absolute carrying a clarinet around when you're at high school.
I can imagine. What kind of box was it?
It's like a plastic briefcase box. And it has like maybe a sort of like sticky outy bit for the bell of the clarinet, but it just doesn't look cool. And yeah, I noticed a distinct difference carrying a guitar around. So anyway, I started doing classical guitar, and from there like, I had lessons for a couple of years or whatever, and then I kind of outgrew them, not because I was a better classical guitarist than my teacher. I wasn't. He was quite an elderly man, like Mr. Taylor he was called, but I then, I could already read sheet music. I started looking at tablature. Some girl gave me the tablature to Arise by Sepultura, which I programmed into my Commodore 64 using Commodore 64 Music Creator in order to learn to play the rhythms. That's how I learned thrash guitar, with a Commodore 64.
That is incredible news.
Yeah. And I guess I've kind of skipped a bit there. Like I've skipped to like where I made some bands with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure, okay.
I think so. Zooming back slightly, there was a situation where we were allowed to bring our instruments into school, and I brought in my classical guitar, and this lad brought in his dad's electric guitar and some shitty toy amplifier, but then nonetheless turn it up loud. It's loud. He could play only, I say two things, that's being generous. He could play a blues if it went do 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 with his thumb, and then just went up a string every time. It was like, and then he could play loosely wild things, so sort of could play A, D, and E-ish.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time I just turned it up loud and played it with thumb as loud as possible. And I could play some pieces on the classical guitar, and I remember someone saying, we were kind of both in the room doing this, and someone's like, can you shut up, we want to listen to him. And I was like, I'll fucking teach you. And I had an electric guitar, but I just hadn't brought it in. The only reason I didn't bring it in is it was missing a string, and at that time that was a showstopper. Missing a string? Where does one even... How do you even make one? I brought that in. Anyway, so I had a book at home, and then I dedicated myself to being far better than this guy, and then invited a couple of the people round from that era and said, you should come around and see my guitar. I didn't bring my guitar. And they were like, you're much better than this person. I was like... And then I made a band with one of these guys.
For the record, Gaz was nodding then.
Nodding. And then I made a band with one of these guys. Started off, it was just a couple of power chords. We were just ripping off. I would say ripping off Iron Maiden, but it wasn't at that level. It's just it had a power chord in it. That was like the only similarity to Iron Maiden. But then I think we ended up calling ourselves Defile. We planned a gig, we organised a gig at the youth club, but we didn't have a drummer. So eventually we pulled the plug on the gig where we realised it would be stupid, like not having a drummer.
How far beforehand did you pull the plug?
About a week, after telling everyone about it. But we did eventually get a really good drummer, but again that just fell through. He was a couple of years older than us. We had a couple of practices. One of them didn't end too well because my dad had let us borrow his office to rehearse.
That sounds like a poor judgment.
Yes, I took a PA system, and it was a nice day, so might as well do it in the car park.
Yeah.
So full drum kit, car park, residential area, PA system. People came out, and I think we are very quick. After my dad nearly got into a fight with this, I could describe him as a redneck, who came out just like shouting at us not to play. Then we were told we couldn't use that facility again, which I totally understand.
I guess so, yeah, on reflection.
And it kind of never went anywhere from there. I recorded a piece of music for my GCSEs called Impaled. That was my GCSE coursework.
Nice.
I am going to be re-recording it. I've been practicing it, so I think I've got this thing at the moment, as I've discussed before, like modernising old tracks. Just not fully modernising, but just making them like they were played properly and like in keeping with the better production of the time, but not like
and then
modern.
A copy that you're like proud of, like something you've written years ago that you still want to.
Somewhere I've got it on cassette, but the way I used to record, I think we tried doing it on a 4-track or something like that. But you know, back then we weren't miking anything; we were just DIing out of an amp. It sounded shocking, fizzy, like the guitar tone on Spaceman by Babylon Z. Yeah, but terrible guitar tone. But he liked the sound of a DI guitar. That's like a thing that he did, but it doesn't sound.
Okay.
Just using the overdrive in the desk, or whatever. But yeah, I think I did it by using 2 ghetto blasters facing each other and 2 tapes. So play, record, swap, play, record. And yeah, that's how I multi-tracked.
I love that. That's so good. That's just a kind of inventive way of doing it, isn't it? Like bouncing down tracks and whatnot when you had no real capability of bouncing down tracks properly.
Exactly. And I've still got all the old demos of that era. And so did that. So I'm going to re-record that. And then that kind of took me through to Emulsion, I suppose, which, I mean, I did... there's one stage before that where I'd made a band called Newly Fitted Radiators, based on... I think that was the first thing my mate Russell had seen that day in his house.
Right.
And that was it. That's what we started being called, and then I think eventually we changed it to Fallacy, which never gigged, I think. And me and Russell wrote a couple of songs together, and basically we used to do this thing called Fallacy Unplugged in Nowhere. And what we would do is, like, just try and replicate Nirvana Unplugged, but we'd just go out and play Nirvana songs on a classical guitar, not a steel strum, in the middle of a field.
Proper nylon.
Drinking Kronenberg Friday night. Nice. Wait until police got called, because someone would always call police, because of course we were causing trouble with those terrible Nirvana.
That's what led him into a...
I think that's where he ended up doing that, yeah. But yeah, so we'd hide because a car go. The thing is, it may not. Sometimes it was police, other times it's probably like white boys looking for trouble. You don't know around Broadfield. But yeah, so we used to do that, and then we recorded bits and bobs using ghetto blasters and stuff. And
so whereabouts was this at the time?
Broadfield in Crawley.
So it was cool.
Yeah, and nothing came of it. But yeah, I taught Russell to play guitar basically because he wanted to be Nirvana, and I showed him what drop D tuning was, and you could do power chords with one finger. And I taught him something in the way. Cheating. But I taught him how to play something in the way, and then of course we recorded a heavy version of it with a drummer that couldn't really play drums. And then we did another song which we called Bitoxicated.
Nice.
And I might have shown you the regenerated version. I did that as a present for his birthday a few years back. That's what got me into recording. I only learned mixing and stuff just to kind of get that sounding okay. And so again, nothing happened with that, but then Emulsion, so formed a band at uni, did that.
But now you're in Brighton though,
Huh? Yeah, we're in Brighton now. So Sussex University, 1990.
1990? Right, 6, yeah.
No, it would have been 98 realistically.
Yeah.
Formed a band with a guy that I met because he had a Metallica t-shirt, the same as we met for the same reason.
That's how all the best people get together.
Chris, who was in Dry Rice as well. And met him through that, and then met another guy through the Rock Society, and Ben was a drummer who was in my psychology class, and we all just played some songs. And I've still got the recording of the first band practice.
Awesome. I've got so many mini discs lying around with bits and pieces of like school stuff and band practices, but no mini disc player.
And some of it's terrible, some is okay. I remember we Chris, I think, thought some more of it was okay than I did, and even gave like the tape of the band players. Some say, "Oh, this is what we sound like." It was just like out of tune singing, out of time drumming, made up on the spot riffs.
Yeah.
There's a charm to it, I guess, but yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Probably sounded quite fizzy and
But it became good. And actually, no, what was cool with that was mainline rehearsal studios we were talking about earlier underneath the station.
So this one that became under the bridge, or was it?
No, under the bridge was just under a bridge, but not that bridge. This is one literally under Brighton Station called Mainline.
Okay.
And like they had like a type of condenser mic, a big flat panel one or whatever. They had it in the rehearsal rooms and a tape deck there.
So you could record all your rehearsals?
Yeah. And it could take the surface pressure level, whatever, like to not overload with all the drums and that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it didn't sound good, but you could take home what did rehearsal sound like and stuff. Like, was the singer out of tune? Were we out of time? That's actually quite valuable information.
We always quite like that as well for writing songs. Like if you have to jam for like an hour or two, and those little bits, those little great things that might come out of it, that's good to listen back to and then put into a song.
Oh, exactly. I've got InMe ones that are just on my phone and stuff, like little bits, like lost songs from what would have been the second trilogy and all that sort of stuff. Eventually, we decided to rebrand as Dry Rise. I can't remember quite. I think we just felt we'd
Did we
done.
decide that I would have seen you as Emulsion? Like
You saw the first Emulsion gig.
we saw the first, and where was that? The Pressure Point.
Yeah, because you were going to lend us your snare drum because I'd met you in a pub. Not your snare drum, but your band.
Yeah, there was a crossover there, wasn't there? Yeah.
And you were there, and then like Emulsion and Inferior and Fidget did quite a few, another Eastbourne band. We did quite a lot of like gig swapping, like Eastbourne and stuff, Dolphin and things like that. I just did quite a lot of gigs together and stuff, and it was quite cool. I had nicked each other's crowds a bit in a friendly way. That was nice, and then ultimately it became Dry Rise, and then I suppose actually you only asked how did I get into music, and I've decided to just give you my entire personal music.
Anyway, that's it.
But yeah, and then Dry Rise, that's the thing that really boosted. Like Chris at the time said he was much more confident in the band than I was, I think, and he sent off. Yeah, he sent not. I don't mean confident on stage or whatnot. I just mean he sort of thought, yeah, we're the next big thing more than I did, maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't because I probably did too. But he just saw this competition in what was it, in Rock Sound.
Oh,
but
it was on Scott's TV.
The competition was in Rock Sound, I think, and then it was after. Anyway, he posted our CD off, and out of the blue we get a phone call that like we've been shortlisted for this thing, and we got reviewed by Bowling for Soup on TV, and then we got a music video made for us around Brighton, which obviously...
There's so many amazing things about that, like posting a CD off to a magazine and getting listened to by someone, and then getting back in contact with you to actually get the video made. You're able to go around Brighton making this really cool video, and then get it on Scuzz TV.
Yeah, that was early April 2004, so it's a long time ago now. That was like 16 years. But that was a good day, and I learned a lot about what it meant to be in a music video, how boring that actually it can be in many ways. But some of it, like, it was like right sketchy. Like, we had permits for stuff but deliberately didn't have them, and we didn't tell people. We got the permit and then didn't say to places like Chester Square that we had it, so we would get stopped.
You played with Chester Square. You had the beach as well.
The level, in the van, and outside Juju in the lanes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So that was it. It was really fun. I was quite nervous the whole time. There's a bit in that video where I just fall over on the beach carrying the amplifier. I haven't watched it for a long time. Retrospectively, I'd change it a lot because they kind of told me not to look at the camera, which is fine, but it didn't work on the shots in the van because I'm just kind of like looking awkwardly at anything but the camera. There's one or two little moments in it where I actually look at the camera, and they're the bits that look the best. So retrospectively, I would have done it slightly differently. But no, it was a really fun video. It got us, the recognition. Got us to do a little tour.
Yeah.
Ultimately, got us to support InMe because we had enough reputation around Brighton to do that. And ultimately, that's where I ended up meeting and joining InMe in the same way.
So back in that time, when you were like playing in Dry Rise around Brighton, where was like the best places to be playing, or where was the most professional places to be playing? Or
well,
did it not matter?
The Concorde was the most professional one you ever got access to, realistically, because it was a serious stage with an actual separate monitoring engineer. That was probably Al most of the time, wasn't it? And
probably was, yeah.
He was good.
He was great. He was really good.
And it actually had backstage and dressing rooms, and you got some beers for playing. That was the pinnacle of playing in Brighton live, I think.
So I just got got absolutely stoned, I think, because we were playing with Helps and...
I saw him today.
Really?
No, oddly enough, I was talking to someone about this podcast, and someone said, someone at work was, so what are you doing? I said, I'm meeting my mate later, and we're doing a podcast about like the late 90s, early 2000s alternative scene. And as I said that, Helms walks into the fucking room, comes over, what are you doing here, man? And I was like, whoa, because he works on the building site downstairs, and I share the office with the building contracting.
Right, okay.
And he just walked in and was like, that's random. It's like, I feel like I conjured him.
Oh, that's mad.
And we had a nice chat, catch up about what he's up to, what I'm up to, and it's funny how different things are. You know, we didn't really talk about music. Like he said, he's working and doing personal training stuff alongside the building work.
Oh, right.
I'm doing my NHS stuff, and we basically talked about bodybuilding and fitness. It's
cool.
a very different conversation than we would have had 16 years ago and whatnot.
I don't know if he'd recognise me now or not.
I imagine he would. We're all around the scene for the same time, because it's all interconnected. You know what I mean? He was the singer in Killing Mode. Their drummer was in Dry Rise. It's all.
I forgot he was in. So it's Tom, isn't it?
Tom White.
So I see him all the time on being connected to John Hare through Sensible.
All the gaming.
He's in the Sensible band and stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in Killing Mode.
Yeah. So Concord, I suppose, was the most pro. My overall favourite, with the right engineer on the right day, was Pressure Point.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I love the people that run it, like Gareth and that. They're just great guys. Si and that went into the Cable Club.
And Andy, the sound man, was the best one.
Andy was top notch, yeah. So, if you had Andy, and Toby was quite good as well. Mm-hmm. It's just something about, I did my first ever gig there, June the 7th, 2000. You were there. It was just like really nice venue. Like I always felt that Concord 2 sometimes could be a bit overly bass heavy, like quite subby.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the room. Every room's different, you know. But I found that, like, for me, the Pressure Point, engineered well, was more realistic to what I thought a band sounded like.
They also brought
from the CD.
in a different sound system early 2000s as well. They spent another £10,000, I think, on their sound system as well.
Well, Pressure Point.
Pressure Point did, yeah. So they were so taking it seriously, Gareth or Timmy Charles, wasn't it? It was so good. And it was big, but it never felt too big, and it was just a nice kind of area.
I saw the band whose name shall not be spoken there live once. We all know who they are. He's in prison now. But I saw them there. Who else did I see?
Shit, yeah.
Actually, the first ever gig, I'll talk about the first gig I saw there, actually. That was Kill to This.
I would have seen them back in the day,
yeah. And fast forward many years, and I'm now friends with the then bassist at the time, who then toured with him. Their band was supporting InMe on one of the tours we did.
Yeah.
She lives in Brighton as well. She's top notch. I went to see this band Kill to This because my mate showed me a song called Kill Your Gods, which is sick. It's really good. You like it? It's like kind of Prodigy meets Machine Head. Really good, like electronics. And he's a minor, I think it might be. He's a really good producer in metal and stuff now.
So I take it they're not going anymore though?
No, not Kill to This, no. But he's active, and the album's really good. It's quite like Pantera vocals, crossing Machine Head, and then like synthy, drum machine-y kind of stuff. It's a really good fusion band, and female operatic vocals infused in there as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll burn it, on tape. Well, that was good. But anyway, they had a support band open up, and they were called Little Ten.
Oh, now I remember a lot about Little Ten, yeah.
And like, this wasn't a busy gig, you know what I mean? It was like 30 people. We all stood at the front. First gig I'd ever been to outside of a band called Cuckoo I saw at the Gladstone earlier that year.
Gladstone.
I thought they were a real band because it was in the listings in Cram. It's just now it's just the free listings. And you've just sort of like emailed and said, "Oh, we're doing a gig. Can you put it in?"
Put it in, yeah.
They would get there like indie rock or whatever. But then, so I watched this band, Little Ten. As soon as they kicked off, I was like, "Fuck me!" The singer was great. The guitars were it was only a 3-piece as well, I think. Was it 4? Oh no, it was a 4-piece, but only like one guitar sort of thing. Really good. Like the drummer Pat, he was like really simplistic in what he did, but it worked really well. The vocalist had like a bit of screamo stuff going crossed with Pearl Jam. And the guitarist Giles, who's now a really fucking famous author and a great guy as well. He just sang about the way he wrote his riffs were like super melodic, super cool. reminded me of like, you know, the Curb Dog, Foo
yeah.
Fighters sort of stuff with a bit darker edge to it. And I really loved their sound stuff. He turned me on to the idea. I mean, I'll come back to it, but yeah, I thought they were like a big band.
Yeah.
And then we were rehearsing at Mainline Studios a week after, and Little Ten just walked into the rehearsal, and we were like, "Oh my god, it's the band!" And we like made friends with them and stuff, and like.
I feel like I saw them in the level on a flatbed truck.
That definitely happened. That definitely happened. I didn't see it, but it happened. There was like a really early festival thing that happened. It was
part of the festival, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely not some like. Yeah, and I know I didn't go to it, and I think I wanted to, but I was working.
I was there because our mate Chris was bassist from Fury, and like, he was really into them as well. And we would have gone down there with him, and I can't remember anything else apart from seeing this band on possibly a truck.
They're really good. They had an EP called Frail, which I would cite as actually massively influential on me musically. And then they had one called Husky Coast, which I much coveted but never acquired.
Right.
But by pure, I mean, I said I'm still mates with Giles. I just chat here and there on like Instagram and whatnot. And I must message him and say if you've got a copy of it I can listen to and just add it to my collection. I keep forgetting that, so I'm going to remind myself to do that.
I've got that actually with I've got a copy anyway. But do you remember Turncoat?
Yeah.
So
I talked to Dom recently.
Okay, well, I don't know. I was at parents a few weeks ago, getting a bit smashed after dinner. I was like, Dad, look at this band, and showed him a few Turncoat things. He was like, oh, you know, I'd like to listen to that. And I did actually put something on Chaz's timeline or tag them. I was smashed. And he said, oh, you know, I've got a box of CDs. If you want one, just let me know. But I haven't sent my address yet. I've got one, but from my dad.
But Becky's friends with this girl Hayley and her partner Rich, and we got chatting, and then he was like, they live in Gillingham, but he's from Seaford, and we were talking. I said, I knew a band from Seaford, Little Ten. He went, Wayne's like my best mate. I'm like, what? And apparently he's got a computer hard drive that's got all their stuff on it. No doubt, probably at 128 kilobits per second. But
if you're lucky, yeah.
But yeah, I want to get that. Finally get to listen to Husky Coast after 16 years. But yeah, like Giles, he's a children's author. Well, he was just a children's author now, and he did like a book called The Very Hungry Caterpillar or something. No, that's older. No, he did The Fearsome Beastie, which is a really well-known children's book, and he's just released, I think, a fiction book, but not children's. I think it's just, and that seems to be getting some critical acclaim, so that's really nice. And so it's really cool to see people that you've known
and going off and doing different things and being
whether it be music or something else creative or something business, whatever. It's just nice to see. So yeah, that's cool.
When you said about like wanting to get hold of that hard drive with all the stuff on, I've been trying to get a hard drive off one of the people I featured in an older podcast episode. Band is called the Fisher Price Landmine. It's really kind of cool, kind of darky, kind of folky bits and pieces, really nice harmonies. But I know you can't get any of it online. There's like a cassette that goes on eBay every now and then.
Really?
And I was talking
digitise it.
Well, it's the thing.
Stick a limiter on it, upload it. Everyone's happy.
Possibly, yeah. But there's so much more stuff, and I know there's so much more stuff, but it's just sitting on someone's hard drive somewhere who doesn't care. Doesn't care about it, but maybe it's not that bothered. It's part of their life. It's gone now. Yeah. And you just say, well, just give me that. I'll just do the rest, please, and you can share it with the world.
It's like, I've got like quite a few demos still, and some of them are digitised. Some I've kept the odd CD of ones that I know are decent. Like there was a band called Resin that
I remember them. Yeah.
We played with a couple of times. They're really cool.
Okay, so he had something to do with Monster, didn't he?
No. They were Essex.
Oh right.
But
I think Risen.
Risen, that was Darius.
Okay.
Yes, and he was a fucking great vocalist, he was.
He was, yeah.
Where were we? So, most professional venue, so we moved on to Pressure Point. And I think they were the two that were particularly professional around here. In terms of just being great to play, the Crypt back in the day, Unseen, the underage one they used to do. Did you ever do that one?
I don't think I ever did, no. I did something out there, but not that.
Oh yeah, we might have done some other, but like...
Because that's the one where I was driving with Paul and he started falling asleep in the car.
Tried to kill you. Shit!
And then we got lost. And it took 4 hours to get back from...
So that's a long drive, I mean, it's... But, bless, because Paul did all the legwork in the drive and stuff.
I know, it was amazing,
no, that's really cool. But yeah, the Crypt was like... It was cool bit. It was like underneath the Brass Monkey, wasn't it? I hear it's actually reopened. Actually, someone's told me something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like a weird stage because it was square. People could watch you from all sides. A bit odd, but they just had really well attended. Yeah, from the left and right they could. Maybe not from behind. But it was always well-attended shows. And then towards the latter part, they did a thing called Unseen, and it was every Thursday night, and it was like a 14-plus show, no alcohol kind of thing. But the kids back then, they just wanted to jump around. And at the time, I was entirely validated by whether people were moshing. That was, are we a good band? There's a mosh pit.
But I like that. There's people actually getting involved and enjoying themselves.
I like that.
Without alcohol and without cameras. Phones,
that was cool, and I like that. Nowadays, I don't care about the mosh pit too much. I used to think that but then cause if people in a mosh pit, they're not necessarily paying attention to what you're doing.
No,
I don't. I mean, I get it, it's appropriate for certain styles and that, but like if you're a melodic rock, I think overall you kind of want people watching rather than they're there because it's a mosh pit and it's fun.
Yeah,
which that was.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think if you've got some young people just. I like the fact they're just having fun more than anything else.
I'm sure they're all drunk as well. Just not from alcohol in there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sneaky little booze on the way down.
But then also, obviously, that might lead to, if they're having good experiences early on with booze and bands, then that might lead to checking out more bands in the future, I guess.
And it's cool. It's still it's a community social kind of thing. It's good to do. But yeah, that was kind of my favourite place to play away, and the Tunbridge Wells Forum as well.
The Forum was good. It was a bit weird because we had you looked out and then there was an angle and then that was the rest of the venue. But,
well, you're familiar with the term toilet circuit, presumably.
I'm familiar with the term, yeah.
And do you know where it comes from?
I don't think so, no.
It comes from a lot of the venues used to be toilets, literally. In the same way, Strummers used to be a toilet. By your old house, the rehearsal studio. It's not a venue, but...
Oh, yeah, that did, yeah.
And the Tunbridge Wells Forum was a big, large public toilet back in the day.
That's massive. Okay.
So I've been told by many people. I could have been lied to, so I apologise to the venue if they ever hear this. And,
so I'm sure my 7 listeners aren't going to go fact check anything.
Well, 7 people tell 7 people tell 7 people. Suddenly you've got 21 people. But yeah, no, I'm sure that's what it was, and that's where the term comes from. But that was always a good venue. I remember one dry rise gig we did there where we went in and we came out and it was snowing. And that was something particularly magical. I think we were playing someone's birthday.
But we couldn't drive back because the roads were too icy or something.
And Paul was lost. Bless, but...
That was good, yeah. I don't think... Did I ever play Tunbridge Wells Forum?
I don't know, mate. The photographic evidence is lacking, isn't it?
There's a lot, yeah. I did a few gigs, but there's no photographic evidence.
You did Dalton's birthday. That was a special gig.
Because that is like my profile picture on my old Hotmail account. I don't use anymore.
I've still got somewhere a video clip of that gig where I was in proper death metal mode.
Yes, it was Size
the Story.
Yeah. So I think I just start headbanging and then
it looks
Kramer guitar.
It helps that the camera recorder's so over the camera, so overloaded. It just sounds really intense.
I mean, it was obviously.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that was cool. And that's one of my favourite things about music is especially now is having Dalton back on board, for example. That we wrote the song in Dry Rise decades, and I loosely did the song about the concept of change over time. Mm-hmm. So losing touch with people, blah 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 blah, memories of the voices from afar singing about the ones we leave behind or whatever. And
it's quite poignant at the time, actually.
Yeah.
When that. Yeah.
And 10 years later, me and Tom are in a band again together.
Yeah.
And not only a band, but a band that both of us were fans of before that I joined, and then I brought him in when Simon had left, and Tom was just so obviously the right guy. He's helped the band crazy.
Yeah. His media skills and everything,
and the drumming, the drumming in the album's outrageous. It's him and Simon are both massively technically proficient drummers. I love both of them. It's just nice to be able to do that with Tom rather than have some new guy. New guy would be cool too, but it's just nice to take you. It's the same when the bass player from InMe left originally. They could have advertised for session.
Yeah, you could get someone in who's amazing on bass, but it doesn't mean you've got the same vibe.
But Dave wanted to bring his brother in because Dave was getting to go and do all these cool tours and fun and stuff, and his brother was doing like Little Band Sentiment or whatever at the time, and he wanted to bring him in, like, and give him that. So, you know, that's sort of how it worked for everyone that joined him. And same like with John, he was our merch guy, and we just wanted to bring him in because like he was kind of half involved in doing all the merch and stuff. It's just like, well, you know, you've helped us out when Dave hurt his hand and stuff, just being the bandmate.
Bringing it back to like Brighton, I was going to say like promoting side of things. Yeah. So what was the first kind of promoting? How did you get into promoting and things like that?
Promoting.
You didn't start here, did you? You started up.
No, I sort of did, but it's basically I did all these gigs for Emulsion and that, and there was the promoter that was doing, I think it was Big Room Music, and so we did we worked our way up the lineup basically because as you know, it's just because you sold tickets, that's what it means, nothing to do about how good you are.
Well,
So we kind of got to the point where we were like getting quite every few months. And I was having phone calls with this promoter saying, we'll play next week. So he was like, no, you don't want to play too much. And I kind of took that on board because you can play too much. Most bands need to learn that pretty early on, and they don't.
Well, no, you used to phone us up like every couple of weeks, like, I need the band to play Pressure Point.
Oh, that's different. That's different because I needed it. But no, it's
good for us. We were fine.
Yeah, but we'd get this. Any show I've run, people would like play a gig, and then at the end of the show, they'd be, it's a shame it wasn't busy tonight because we played the pub over the road yesterday and we told everyone about it. It's that sort of dumbness.
Yeah.
That your friends now have got a finite amount of money and time and attention. So you can't play every week, or you might have 30 fans, but you split them into 3 sets of 10. Yeah. It's better to have the 25 of them, 20 of them in one hit because that's more of a buzz, better experience for all the people that go to gig, better experience for you.
Yeah.
Well, just endlessly gig. If you want to endlessly gig, that's what open mics for, isn't it?
Well, yeah. But again, this is what we spoke about before. Like the amount of people that they don't even have the fan base or the friends, but they'll still do the gig over there. They do the gig over there. They do the gig.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for getting your craft and stuff. Like I get that.
Craft, but I don't think it helps the venues in the long run. That's the thing.
No, that's the thing.
And the promoters, the people that have actually risked their name and sometimes money in putting you on. Yeah, it's all great to have the opportunity to play gigs all over the place, but if you're doing it in such a short amount of time, and you're not bringing anyone in, or you don't actually have a fan base.
Yeah, and this is one of the problems with promoting. Like, promoters get quite a bad rep. They, in many ways, do get the raw end of the deal, and that's why I think often they've gone to these models of like you get paid based on how many flyers you get in, all these kind of models, because if they're it depends how it works. If they're hiring the venue and charging tickets, they can promote it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many flyers I hand out saying here's some bands you don't know. No one's coming. It actually will be down to the band's mates and stuff, and the bands to promote as well. So then I suppose you incentivise the bands to a point by paying them based on that. It's difficult, but you can't. This whole you wouldn't do it for exposure, like that takes it too far. You can't use the whole you don't go into a restaurant and say give me free food and I'll tell people about it. It's not the same argument. Like there's people putting financial risk on the line usually, and even if we take that away, say a promoter gets paid like £100 to put on a 3-band bill, £30 each band or whatever. That's still shit. And then where's the budget for actually promoting it?
Exactly. Most of these venues and most of these setups, you can't tailor to actually put on a really successful evening of local bands or bands.
People want to see bands that are their mates or that are well known in some way.
But another thing I've noticed, there's a lot less people now. Over the past 10 years, there's a lot, maybe 15 years, whatever. There's a lot less people just going out to watch bands, and either because they expect everyone to be fucking X Factor standard, or they just too much money for pints.
Just to clarify, X Factor standard is karaoke as far as I'm concerned.
Sorry, good for clarifying that. Because the amount of people you must get it as well when you do a good show or you do a bit of karaoke and someone comes up to you, mate, you should be on the X Factor.
You want to go to that BIM, you do? No, it's okay. We're already signed.
We'll bypass that one. You know what I mean, though? Yeah, people and that's a lot of where general public kind of perception is, thinking that it's all about being perfect on fucking talent shows on ITV and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does the media does kind of give the impression that the way to be a musician is via a talent show.
Yeah.
Which is not.
And you have to be perfect and like amazing what you do to even get anywhere, which is not the case either.
And it's also not the case that you need to go to music college. All the BIMs and that. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to go to a BIM. I think it'd be well fun.
Oh, it would be fun.
When I was young, I'd love to. And I'd take a degree in guitar. It'd be fun. But again, that isn't how people...
teaching it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, maybe. But that's not how people become famous musicians. Like, yeah, I imagine I'm wrong to a point with regards to session work. I'm sure that a lot of people that went through BIM, they get access to network stuff and, you know, maybe become like successful session musicians and
I would definitely see that, yeah.
covers and stuff. But like, I don't think if you did an audit of all the famous bands that there are, like over the last 100 years, and how many of them went to a music college, it'll be 0.001%.
But I think this is where
but
things
the
are changing now. Well, exactly. This is where the changes. You've got BIM and you've also got these Brit schools and all these other colleges and whatnot. And there's nothing wrong with those, but not all the most interesting music's going to come from that. The most, you know, perfect at their craft might come from that.
Guns N' Roses ain't going to come from BIM. Guns N' Roses comes from fucking coke, prostitutes,
the
and
best
booze.
places.
Yeah, that's how you learn to do that sort of music.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why you've got Guns N' Roses. You won't get that from going through music college.
No.
You get people that think they're Guns N' Roses going through music college, and you get the people that
just because you've got a top hat, mate.
That.
Yeah,
or you've got a leather jacket or whatever.
He's ginger. He's got a top hat. I can see a future.
You're acting like a prick, so you're just trying to take off someone.
Yeah, and I always wanted to go to music college when I was younger. There wasn't really a thing when people being 41 and a half sound like a toddler. 41 and a half.
Well, Ad and I went to the thing that was before BIM. This was the thing. We met in music college at BTEC.
Yeah.
Oh, right. But it wasn't BIM, it was like the year before, and it was kind of a loose college thing. I'd gone to Lewis to do IT, computing and business. Got there for like a week and went, this is nonsense, I'm not having this. And then Kelly got me into her music course at BTEC. Which is great. Thanks, Kelly, for listening.
She's listening on her aeroplane, isn't she?
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
So, okay, go to, what about...
and how I got into promotion. Ed, so I was kind of got like pally with the promoter or whatever, and then just eventually I sort of said, I'll come and help you out on some nights. And I did, so I just, kind of like turned up at some of the other nights, supported, kind of like let me in free sort of thing. Yeah. I was like, I'll stamp people's hands.
Turned up to other nights to support them?
Yeah, I go on that. Stamped some people's hands, kind of covered a couple of nights when he couldn't make it and stuff. So, it was good fun. And got involved more with the Pressure Point being there and stuff.
Were you DJing first?
No. That came a bit later. Then
the DJing came a bit later since then. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really learn to DJ until off the back of that, I ended up getting involved with a club night up in Romford, which is called Freak, and. I didn't DJ, but the guys that run it did. And they kind of showed me the very basics of how to do it. And they were doing the club night down here at the Paradox. Remember, it was £5.87 entry.
I don't remember the price.
They ironically tried to do, it was £5.87 or £1 with flyer. And loads of people didn't have flyers, so that went really wrong on the door.
I didn't go to the Paradox that much. I think I went there for a heavy night at one point.
Yeah, it didn't last long. It didn't last long. They tried, but and then ended up going to Club New York, which is tiny, next to what was Gamley's or Hamley's or something like that.
Because my ex-landlord used to run the place.
Okay.
But I remember going up to one rock night up there, and it was very interesting.
Yeah, that's how it describes it.
Yeah.
But I was kind of doing stuff for them, and but again, it was quite. They were doing it their way, and I had ideas about how I would want to do it, which was different. And then me and Russell came up with the idea of running our own club night up in Northampton. And we did it, and we hired a really nice... They had one club night up there, which is in a place called the Cookie Club, which is a bit ropey. And then we hired their flashy club up there, and we made some flyers and stuff and handed them out for a few months, and then... we were getting a couple of hundred people in on a Monday night, and it was good. It was quite a cult institution.
Yeah.
That's where I met InMe, actually. I got a guest list to go down to off their label, went to one of the gigs, and then took them out for an after party or VIP. We actually had a proper cordoned off VIP section.
Nice. Velvet ropes and whatnot.
Yeah, no, that was that club site long closed, that was my first taste of like promoting a club myself, and then I got kind of bored of the commute to Northampton because I was using essentially 1.5 to 2 days of my days off a week to do that.
3 trains away, or?
Yeah, maybe 2, but like it's just long, and it's really good fun. I loved it. And me and Russell running that together was great. But we kind of gradually let it run into the ground. It always happens. Russell moved town. We didn't have a man. It's really difficult to run a club night when you haven't got a passionate man on the street.
Yeah.
And we found the same with my club night now, Gorilla Rocks. Now that like we're not all, at our age, you don't want to be standing outside clubs flying. When you're 20, that's because you're at the club anyway.
Are you allowed to do that anymore? Like, are you allowed to?
I've never seen anyone arrested for it, so I assume so.
Okay. Well,
I think there's probably a rule. You have to have a licence, but I haven't seen the flyer police.
Yeah, well, good.
And you could do it illegally every day, and you'd get a £50 fine every year or something like that.
I've just highlighted it because it just seems like one of those fucking ridiculous things. Like,
it is, yeah.
Stopping people flying or charging them money to fly or whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. But when you're promoting in your 20s, you're already at these club nights.
Yeah.
Not because you need to fly, because you want to go.
But it's enjoyable. I used to enjoy it because it could actually spark up conversations. Even if people aren't going to come to the night, we're just having chats with people, and I think that's what we enjoy about just going out and networking and being in clubs and being in bands and stuff. Just that interaction with other people and enjoying company and chatting and stuff. Yeah,
that was like that's the thing. As soon as you start, like we paid other people, especially up in Northampton, but they only give out 5 or 6, and they just talk to their mates. Whereas when you've got an interest in it personally, I think I want to get some people flying in Brighton, but I think the only way to do it is to get pros. I think you've got to pay the money. There are people who do it as their job, with pride, that they work for a little company that we will hand out your flyers. It's like £20 an hour or whatever, but they will hand out every flyer. And that's something I'm looking at the moment with Gorilla Rocks. That's something we need to do because we can't do it. You pay somebody who goes to club nights. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. It varies, but you'll never know. But if you're paying a company, there's got a way of being sure that it's going to be decent to a point, because they'll have people working their extra flyer this gig, then they extra flyer that, then they go to this, and the person handing out a flyer has earned £100 because they've went round pubs putting things in. They
probably put the effort in to have a plan as well and know exactly where they're going.
Yeah, exactly.
What finishes where and whatnot.
Exactly.
I want to talk about the Seagull Samaritan EP.
Okay,
because I'm involved in it.
You're the producer.
How did it even come about? Can you remember? Cause
I remember how it came about. I joined InMe. I was just doing that, and I wanted to sort of make a bit of money and have some credibility in my own right. So
you got one of those things.
Well, yeah, and certainly not the first one. Actually, realistically, not the second one. But Seagull, that was originally. I'd started writing it, and that was before I was in InMe. It was called This Is the Song That I Die To originally, and the idea was if you got hit by a car, and you had your headphones on, and you died, you had, and you were hearing the lyrics of this song, and it fit the fact that you just got killed. That was sort of the joke of it, whereas the current song goes, and I tumble down to the tarmac there. Very good. Just shut the door, no vocals. No, we're all good. The song used to come. The Seagull goes, and I tumble down, and this one went, this is the song that I die to, I'm listening. So it's fundamentally the same melody. I wrote it all in an afternoon basically when I was waiting to go to my mate Sean's barbecue. I was like, I'm going to be a bit late, just got to finish this song. It all just came
But not with the tuning, surely that came later. No?
The tuning?
The tuning to Seagull.
No, that's how it all came. That was all.
Were you just in that tuning and wrote it like that?
Yeah.
I'm just going to.
I've
got to tune this tuning now.
That tuning, which is EADGAD, that I first used in 1996.
I keep putting it in the same kind of realm as Pieces, but it's nothing like that. It's very
but
sensible.
If you take the song, I don't know what inspired me to do it when I was 16 or whatever, but the song situation number 4. The that is in that tuning, and that I wrote that in, and then obviously I reused it and made a song around it as well. But that's where I first used it, so that song sort of came first. And then I used the same tuning and wrote Seagull Servants. But the subject matter changed after, ironically, a seagull got hit by a taxi.
And where was this?
Outside RFC. My favourite chicken shop in Brighton. Big shout out RFC. Spicy hot wings.
Is it?
I was so drunk after your thing. I know. Was it? I can't remember if it was after your night or a recent night, but I went onto Google and reviewed them. and I just recently, someone, I just got a Google thing. Someone's asked a question about RFC. Would you like to answer? I was like, yep. Yes. I've just started answering questions on RFC's behalf about their thing.
Nice. Hopefully it works out better than those Amazon things. Like sometimes when it comes to the Amazon reviews, they have absolutely nothing. No, not the reviews, the question and answer thing. Someone asked a question, and the answer's got nothing to do with what the question was.
I haven't seen that, but what you must have, and anyone with, I don't know if you can get it on iPhones, but if you've got an Android phone, get Google Play Rewards. Have you got it?
I think I've got it on my account, but not on my phone because it is an iPhone.
On the phone, like literally, as long as you've got your location turned on, you allow it to read it. It will just sense where you go, and it will just ask you a survey. So basically, it will just say, it will just pop up new survey. You press yes, and it goes, did you go to Asda yesterday? And you put yes. It goes, which describes this best? Did you buy something, not buy something? You put yes, and then you go. It might ask one other thing, and then you press OK, and it goes like 26p credited to your account, directly to your Google Play. So
okay, that's good. A bit scary. Like, who's behind that? Like
Google.
Okay.
So they're literally just using location data to drive surveys on behalf of companies. And
right, okay.
As I know I was there, I spent it on my card. I don't care. You know. So you get like 6p is the lowest they do, and then sometimes it's like 30p. But you know, every couple of weeks, like you've got like a few.
It's not a hassle to do it, is it?
No, exactly. Just do it on the toilet having a pee. But you're like, oh, I've got $7.99 now, and you just buy an album, but own the album.
Yeah.
As opposed to Spotify. So
I was about to say, you might have to explain to our viewers about buying an album. That's,
just Google it. Or ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves, wow.
But yeah, so you can do, and obviously it works for apps and movie rentals and that as well. So like, so this corporate is, and you are selling your data. I don't mind it. It's just free.
Well, stuff like that doesn't seem too bad. If you just like commenting on what your shopping habits are doing or whatever.
Because you can just put no and just not answer it.
Yeah.
Or you can just lie.
Yeah.
And so I didn't buy something when you did. I didn't go there when you did.
Well, but then how are we supposed to trust anything?
Can't trust anything.
Can't trust anything. So we're back at square one again.
Exactly. Shit. Before I digressed onto doing Google's marketing for them.
Seagulls dying.
Yes, that was it. I don't know how we got surveys from that.
No, we were... That's a good point. RFC, there was a long segue into RFC.
Oh yes, and then
reviewing RFC.
We've had a couple of beers now, so that kind of explains. But yeah, so the seagull got hit by a taxi because me, Dave and Preston was down, a couple of girls were, and we accidentally sort of startled it into the road, and the taxi hit it.
Oh, hold a minute, so it was your fault?
Yeah.
I thought it just fell out of a tree.
No, the seagulls. Shit. You don't see seagulls in trees. That's pigeons. This poor seagull got like hit by the taxi and laying there all spread out on the floor, like a bit of blood coming up his beak. So it was not in a good way. So I was like, I felt a bit, but it was still sort of moving, so I kind of went and picked it up.
You didn't try and claim credit in RFC?
No, Dave was like, don't pick it up, it's dirty. You're dirty! So I picked it up and sort of took it to the side of the road outside Well Done, the weirdest named off licence shop ever.
Yeah.
Well done, good job.
Well done, good job.
And I sort of went,
stroking it.
Bye. It's just, I think I kind of gave up on it, but I was sort of waiting there, like, come on, because I had people staying at my house and stuff.
Did then RFC go and get it? And
I can assume so. I mean, there's part of me that thinks it lived because there was no evidence of blood or feathers or anything the next morning when I went past there. Equally, RFC.
Good RFC clean-up job.
I think I don't think they would do that. I think RFC is very high quality chicken.
I'm sure it's fine.
It's not RFS, is it? But yeah, so that was it. It's just ironic, like that song. I wrote the song about getting run over, and then because I saved Seagull, which I obviously didn't save it, probably just died. The term Seagull Samaritan just came into my mind, and I was like, it's a really novel name, isn't it? It's very unusual.
It is, yeah.
And then I liked it. So then
it's one of those kind of perfect storms of good names, born from a really cool situation.
Thanks, man.
Unfortunate for the Seagull situation.
Yeah. That said, I've gone off Seagulls lately.
Nothing.
Because
have they tried it?
No, this is war, to be honest. I work in the Royal Sussex County Hospital and around those sort of sites, and I was walking along in between meetings, and I'm carrying a sausage sandwich or whatever, and suddenly I just feel this flapping hitting me on the head. Fucking seagull has come down. And it goes, and I managed to pull away the sandwich in time, and then it starts hovering, and I just throw a few jabs at it. Genuinely, like the little fat, like they don't like being looked in the eye, and they certainly don't like punches.
Punches, yeah.
So I didn't actually hit it. I would have if it came any closer, but I just went like that, and it kind of fucked off, and I was like, yeah, that'll learn you. And then I got complacent, and then a week later I'm walking along, similar sandwich, but this time I had it a bit higher, and I felt something, and the fucker not only grabbed my sandwich, fucking bit my finger and cut it.
Was it the same seagull?
Oh, well, I mean, they look the same, don't they? But it actually bit my finger. I felt my little finger went right in its gob. It knocked half the sandwich off, or took the other half, and actually drew blood in my finger, and then it landed next to me, and I thought I could go and fucking, murder it and write a song about it. But I didn't. I let it go. I stared it out.
Did you need a tetanus jab after that?
No, actually, I was going to meet 2 consultants at the time, and I had to walk back into the room. Basically, my finger was bleeding, so immediately I started squeezing my finger, squeeze as much blood out of it as possible, milk it, in case they had any nasty, because, they just eat out of bins and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
So I squeezed as much blood out, and then I went into the children's hospital, and I just immediately put my finger, got loads of, the hygiene squeeze thing, put that on it, avoid exploding. And then I went up to see these 2 consultants, and I was like, I had to walk in and go, I just got bit by a seagull. And they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, and I showed them that. And they went, oh, so have you washed it out? I'm like, yeah. It's just like, I was reassured because they went, it's just like any other bite, really. Just wash it. I was like, okay, cool. It's fine. That's
okay.
I'm validated. I did the right thing, yeah. But yeah, now I'm a bit more careful with my sandwiches, walk around, because you can walk around here, fine. Near the pier, they'll get you.
They'll get you. I think Ad had one land on his head once. While they were trying to eat something that he got in his hand.
Well, Becky used to work at OSO.
Oh yeah.
And they had a button for seagull on the till to show where they had to. No, sadly not for that. But to show that they had to do give a free extra one because the seagull had missed it.
Wow. Did they need to see the seagull take it away, or could you just go in there? Oh, the seagull nicked my food.
I think it was often as the waitress was taking it out that it happened.
Oh right, really? Wow. Jesus, man.
But they are little shit seagulls, but the song's still very nice.
The song's great, yeah.
That's why, if you take the lyrics, unfold myself, that's the whole spreading its wings on the pavement. And wish for tomorrow, those speeding lights, that's the taxi.
Yeah.
And wish for tomorrow, ain't coming, you're dead.
You're dead, yeah.
Sudden impact, broken wings, it's all actually,
it's brilliant.
I once showed it to someone and they said, I think they rather romanticised the idea that it was about a boy and a girl, and I was like, no, it's literally about a seagull getting hit by a car and dying.
It's nice that other people have these ways that they interpret things.
For sure,
and it's funny, and
it's kind of it doesn't say, I've been hit by a car. It's you could argue it as metaphor, you could interpret it as metaphor.
Yeah, it's not going to be as interesting if you were very sure about it.
I mean, all the songs are around that era, a lot of them are quite... They're actually, lyrically, subject matter-wise, it's quite varied. Lies, the chorus for that, came from a conversation on Facebook, just some random InMe fangirl, who was just talking about the fact that
lies, guys, you've just told me lies all the time.
It wasn't that. but she was saying
I don't know who you are.
something about, it was about lying, and I said, oh, you make your own bed, and then I thought, and you lie in it tonight. I thought actually they could mean both things. You could mean, because you make your own bed and you lie in it. He's like, okay, I've told a lie now, I have to live with it. But actually, you talking about lying in bed with someone else, like the idea of cheating. That's sort of where that came from. So I mean that in both senses of the word. The last track that was about. Obviously, we've moved on from Seagulls Magic, just my wider.
Yeah, I was going to say, the wider back catalogue. No, that's fine. Yeah.
But can't remember what the song.
So when if we're going to go on to the album then, so how long did it take for the album to come out?
Oh, it's about 8 years.
And Pledge Music went under because of this. That's
yeah,
the way I understand it.
We bankrupted them.
We bankrupted them.
No, Pledge no longer a thing. No. But I mean, I think I'd heard whispers on the grapevine that there was dodgy shit happening with their money and stuff, and it did come to fruition. And it was a bit of a, I don't know what they did, but
it's a shame. It seemed to kind of pave the way for that kind of model, but they couldn't sustain it themselves.
I think like it did. It set the idea up, but then it's too much. You know, like I remember the InMe Pride campaign where we raised a serious amount of cash. It was like 60k or something like that. Whoa. Something mental. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's not real money because a lot of those things are like expensive pledges that you then have to fulfil that also are expensive to fulfil. So the actual profit is very small.
Someone's giving you 10 grand to come and do a meet and greet and fly them around
or
whatever for 10
days. It's not quite that, but that's the principle. And I think now the what's come of all of that is for people to understand that like the money needs to go directly to the artist. And the best way is, genuinely, if an artist wants to make money, the best way is digital release, private sales, in my opinion. Like Bandcamp, you know, that's the way to make money. Make something, find a way of making it cheaply, spend all your money on advertising it, and then, you know, because like, if InMe was to release an album and just all we do is put it on Bandcamp, no introduction for anyone else, and we just say, this is the album, and we spent, say we managed to record it for say $5,000 and then we spent $2,000 or whatever in marketing. Maybe that would be more profitable than other avenues that you can go down, you know, where you do physicals, you know. But physicals are nice, you know. With the new album, I'd miss like going into a record shop and seeing an InMe album. That was quite a nice thing. So yeah, I think like in terms of like bands making money directly, that and Patreon stuff.
Yeah, that's
which we're using. It generates a little bit of money each month, but it means there's a little bit of money coming in to like pay for bits and bobs that you need to do in advance and stuff. But
is that a hassle keeping up with stuff like that, or do you not really have to do too much with it?
It's
not as if you have to write 8 songs just for pledges each month.
Well, no, that's the thing. Where we did try a subscription model for a while, and we fell behind on it and stuff, and it was. It's
easy to do, I guess. Like the months move so fast, and then suddenly you've got a backlog of things that you need to create.
And you know, if you were just a band, it would work well, but we're not. You know, we've got a fucking pilot, an NHS manager, poker room supervisor. You've got all manner of stuff in the band.
Yeah, of course.
We're all essentially working full-time weeks, so you don't have the time just to like dedicate to the business side of the band. So like that actually gets harder year on year, I find nowadays. So for me, I'm all about like finding ways we can do things with less minimum effort, maximum reward. Just keep the band ticking over and stuff. That's the way I think it needs to go. But if you're a full-time musician, you can do the thing where you commit. We're going to give you 2 free songs a month if you pay a tenner. You know, then those things work. But
I think it's good. Yeah. Also, it doesn't necessarily. Say that there's going to be any degree of quality to anything that's coming to not for you guys, but there's so many people that offer certain things a month on their Patreons or whatever. It doesn't mean there's any quality in that. They're still giving the things they have to do. But
I'd rather just have infrequent things that are good rather than infinitely growing that catalogue of shite you'll never listen to, which I've seen artists do.
I mean, part of the narcissistic side of me would just love to be able to just put out any of the shit that I write at home and just go, oh, someone's going to pay for this. That'd be great.
It's all about signal to noise ratio, isn't it? If we actually all released all the songs we did, no one would ever be a good band. Because you'd never listen to an album and go, that was a good album. You'd just be like, that's got a good song on it. And you know, the album is an art piece. Is like it's meant to be a collection that's
exactly, and that's what's lacking. I think with people nowadays, especially like a lot of people that I work with, and they won't even be able to name the artists that I enjoy listening to let alone know that an album exists. You know, it would be like listen to a single for 30 seconds, record of that, and then move on to the next thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And people don't, you know, people put things on shuffle or on. I know that's not even a new thing. That's just, or you know, radio stations on Spotify. Yeah. But people don't understand like the arguments and the conversations that take place to actually get to the point of having a track order, because there's a lot of consideration. You don't want like multiple fast ones together, you don't want multiple slow ones together, you don't want loads of sad ones together.
Again, it's the craft again. Like you were saying that earlier on, like we always talk about the fact that you've got your DJ music and you've created that whole thing. You know, curated. Sorry, you know. There's something amazing about that, isn't it?
Yeah, we all knew when we were putting together Jumpstart Hope that as soon as you heard Shame and the vocals on the end of it, it's like, that's the end of it, that's the final track. Straight away, I was like, Blood Orange Lake is the start. And the next song had to be track 2, that just felt right, because it's very different, and it just felt like, you know, it's the next song, second song, you know, that sort of...
Well, the thing is, when Blood Orange Lake came out, I heard that thinking, well, this is probably going to be the end, isn't it? Because it's quite, you know, it's quite long, it's quite heavy and stuff. And then, Shame comes out, it's like, oh shit, okay, no.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
that was that. And again, we did most of the singles were curveballs on that album. We just kind of like, we went in for something to happen, and that was very deliberately different. And then... But
they are all different singles, and that's, I think, what made it, what I really enjoyed about it. Like, listening to each one, at first I'd be like, oh, because I have a weird thing where I don't necessarily get into a song straight away. It takes a few listens, but all the best stuff I really enjoy takes those few listens.
You earn them,
yeah. And those 4 or 5 singles were all so completely different.
I didn't like InMe when I first heard them, so. But then, you know, you earn it, and you...
Well, from Hell with More Problems, you know.
Yeah. I love Daydream. Like White Butterfly is the album that got me into InMe, because my girlfriend at the time was like massive obsessed with InMe. We met via InMe's forum when I was trying to like push dry rise onto everyone. Hello, we're a band that like InMe, therefore we are like them. I think that's a common thing. Bands think you sound like a band because they're your influence bit, and that the other fans of that band will therefore like you because you like them, and it doesn't work like that. But anyway, me and this girl got together, whatever. But then that was her favourite band, and then she dumped me. So for revenge, I joined. She dumped me, so for revenge, I joined the band.
You joined.
No, it didn't quite happen like that.
Wow. That was a long game plan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I don't obviously dislike the early stuff, and especially like 2 or 3 of the singles really good. But because I obviously never grew up with that, I'm not as connected to those things.
I know exactly. So the first album never massively grabbed me. The second one, that particular girl gave me a copy of.
Yeah.
Don't tell Spotify. I listened and didn't even pay for your adverts. But then I got it sound actually. I was like, I really like this. And then when Daydream came out, that was when Dalton was in the band, and we were like, fuck. When that came out, we were like, it's gone up a notch, isn't it?
Tom
Dalton. He's in Dry Rise.
Yes, right. Okay.
No, he wasn't. He didn't time travel back to InMe in 2007.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, did you not know? Yeah, so like that. I remember I distinctly remember like one specific. I don't know why I remember details of this train, but we were driving in probably Dalton's car, I don't know, and we were at like in Port Slade, sort of like getting near to Monster Studios.
Yeah.
And Far Reaching was on, and we just listened to that, and we were like, oh, so good this album. And so obviously we ended up playing those songs live and stuff. I got hiccups. Hiccups.
I did enjoy a lot of the older stuff when I saw you guys last year at Garage. Me and Lewis, like done front, like
that was fun.
That was brilliant.
That was a good gig actually.
It was a really big gig, yeah. But you had a slight issue with your pedal setup, from what you told me just before you went on.
Yeah, I think. I can't remember exactly what it was. I use like the bias stuff, and I think I tried to be too clever and like tweak every possible internal parameter. Whatever I'd done wasn't sounding good for the sound engineer, and he then tried to, on the cuff, decided to go out of the DI output on it, but he hadn't turned on the speaker emulation.
Oh shit! Okay,
so you got the Babylon Zoo DI guitar, It just didn't sound good. And then when I realised because I could still hear it coming out of the cab and it was all fine.
So
he'd
fine,
changed.
yeah.
But yeah, ultimately I flicked the switch and that sort of fixed. But we still had trouble with it. Now we've got it absolutely working mint. I just spent a bit of time like with the right cab, with it plugged in, make sure nothing was too high, too low, whatever. Now my setup works really, really well. But
That's the thing, but everything you described about it should have been amazing, but I guess we all have these little teething problems with new setups especially.
Yeah, it's like, in the Boss GT1, that I use, I just use that for like the effects and that. But I have got it set in if anything ever breaks, I can use it just to do like you would a Helix or whatever, just straight into the PA or whatever.
It sounded really good, it's a really good little pedal there, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw they've got one in Badlands for £89 at the moment.
The same thing.
We both follow them. That's a good price then. Because they're 170 new.
Is it 170 new? Okay, yeah, I saw it come up. Obviously, I don't need one myself, but I did see that. I was like, oh, that's good. So many good guitars have come up recently as well. I don't need any guitars. I mean, I could do with no guitars.
No one needs any guitars.
Yeah. But I still need to get mine set up again, I think, because I'm too lazy to do it myself, and there's certain fret buzzers that I need to get rid of.
So, yeah.
Especially before I actually do any proper recording.
I've got replaced one of the pickups in mine that's gone.
I really want that just broken or
just the middle one just sort of stopped working really. But again, I've had guitar a few years now. It's been knocked around on tour a lot and stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say your oldest guitar that you used to throw about on stage. That's still going fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the hardest working guitars I've ever seen.
I'm going to get that reconditioned properly at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got like Seymour Duncan distortion pickups in it, so it's actually it sounds proper fucking good.
It always sounded good, yeah. Just then you pick it up and just throw it on the floor.
And the action on it is great. It plays like fucking super nice. I am going to. It's still got the same gaffer tape on it as well. The strap is held on with gaffer tape and has been since 2000, I think. So that's how powerful gaffer is.
Gaffer's good, yeah. That's it up.
No, that's my at-home guitar now. Right? I've got that, and I've got endorsement with Chapman, which are fantastic.
Yeah.
I've got one particular Chapman that I play that's my live guitar, and then I've got another Ibanez that I take out as my backup guitar. But I touch wood, I've never broke a string live within me, and that's in 10 years. So that's
the songs they don't have different tunings, do they?
Yeah.
So
I'm tuning in between songs all the time.
Oh, okay.
Because Dave likes to play in the more like the D, like drop D or DA. That's just it's drop D with the G up to an A.
Oh, okay.
But now, because I know the fretboard reasonably well, I like to stay to standard where possible. Even if Dave, by default, if Dave wrote a song and put it in DA, I would, when I start running my pipes, go into DA. But now I'm like, nope. If I ain't playing that bottom string or have any need for those strings to be in parallel, I'm staying standard, because then even if I forget what I'm meant to be playing, but I know it's an F, I can get there.
Yeah.
As soon as you mess with tunings, improvisation goes out the window without serious practice and understanding that you've got to shift certain strings of patterns into different places.
How many times do you go back and redo something to your kind of contemplative?
All the time.
So in 20 years' time, would you actually I can do on wishful thinking again?
I've been talking about my mate texted me today saying wrong time of year, but I really love this, and just sent me a link to my Walking in the Air cover. I was like, yeah, definitely wrong time of year, but actually it does sound really nice.
Now, although I've just asked the question, I'm going to do a fourth version of We Three Kings this year. I'm going to do it. I'm doing an orchestral version, hopefully crossed with the Brighton Swing Choir.
Yeah.
How about I do that? You do Walking in the Air, and we do a double A side.
The only risk is what if it's not as good as the original?
Doesn't matter.
For me, that's a good the guitar is played so well on Walking in the Air. You listen to it, it is especially when it gets it just sounds mint. And I didn't know anything about production. I've just plugged the guitar in, stuck a little bit of reverb in it, pan one left, one right, one in the middle, and it sounds fucking great. The vocals I can definitely do better.
Yeah.
Might even get Becky to sing it, that's enough possibility.
Ooh, that'd be good, yeah.
Yeah, so she doesn't know yet.
Okay.
When she listens to it, she'll
So
know.
a double A side charity single for Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe I could do male-female duet on it as well. But yeah, I'm going for that.
That'd be kind of cool.
I would say do it as a charity thing, but it'll do so well, we might as well make the money.
That's a good point, yeah, fuck charity.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I think we could do something like that, yeah. I really want to do... I've kept trying to do things for this weekly themes cover because I really like the arrangement of the voices and stuff, but I've never been able to do exactly what is in my head with it, so I'm kind of thinking maybe an orchestral thing, like go on Fiverr and see if there's a Scandinavian orchestra that I can hire for £200 or something, and then find
I'm sure there are plenty of things.
What do you feel has changed in the scene over the past 10 to 15 years? Although you have a different role in it now and you're more kind of promoting, when it comes to club nights and guerrilla rocks and stuff. How would you see things have changed over the past 15 years?
I think digitisation, you don't see flyers anymore as a rule. You get the odd post somewhere, but it's all like Facebook event invites now, isn't it? And maybe
is that good? Is that good?
It is, but if you've got too many friends and if you don't look at your invites, you lose the personal touch. I mean, years ago I experienced it for one particular gig. As an experiment, I phoned everyone. We're talking many years. We're talking like 2001 sort of period. And I've been texting everyone, like not even WhatsApp, just texting. No set.
There was no WhatsApp then, was there?
Yeah, there was no like way of group texting or whatever. It's just like text people. And I found out often they didn't reply. So I don't know who the fuck I thought I was, but I was phoning. Oh hi, yeah, it's Gaz. Yeah. No, that's been a few years. Yeah. No, just like. Just want to let you know we're doing a gig on Wednesday. Just wondered if, Push Point. Just wondered if you want to come along. And then all these people come along and you didn't really actually get to talk to them because like loads of like...
That's still one of the problems that I find with gigs. It's so cool that people come out to support, but at the same time, I don't get to speak to anyone unless they want to stick around for a beer afterwards.
Yeah.
If they want to come along and see and go again, then it's lovely, but shit, I can't interact because I'm too busy.
Exactly. But the interesting thing was that was like the busiest gig we've done in a long time because of those phone calls.
Nice. Okay.
Because that stands out, And I'm not saying people should start phoning their ex-girlfriends and inviting them to gigs and stuff like that. But
I still think there's more to do than just the Facebook thing. I don't like relying on that anyway.
It's a bit of a box-ticking exercise. People think if you've made a Facebook event and you've invited your friends that they see it or care, and both are probably not true.
There's still people that I have to make sure that I text individually as well when I remember. But I don't really enjoy the social media promotion side of this stuff anyway. I stopped for Friday, I think. Obviously, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. But, that's the digitisation of like events, so that's definitely one of the things that's changed. Yeah. At the same time, you can pay on Facebook, and if it's the right event, it'll work. But if you go like 3 bands you don't know, come and listen, and I'll spend £1,000 on it, still probably only 20 people coming. That's the thing, unfortunately. That's just not how people work.
And obviously, a lot of people that are putting on stuff now, that's all they know as well. Like, there'll be promoters, but how do you promote stuff? Well, you stick it on Facebook, What else would you even do? Not to completely generalise, but I assume that's how a lot of people would see it.
Yeah, definitely. What else? Just like, obviously there's Spotify and things like that, which means it's very easy for anyone. Like, people say to me, I say I'm in a band, are you on Spotify? As if that, they don't realise it only costs like 20 quid to put something on Spotify. It doesn't mean you've reached a certain level of attainment that Spotify will allow you to be on it. I
was having this discussion with someone the other day, and there was a person, we're on Spotify, and someone's like, wow, they're on Spotify. I'm on Spotify, I pay £20 to DistroKid a year.
Yeah.
They put me on Spotify and iTunes. That means fuck all. You can get on Spotify because you paid someone 4 pints worth of beer, to do it. I'm not saying it's not a cool thing to be on there, but it's not like, you've achieved something.
No, exactly.
It's nothing.
So, and other key differences, I think it's just like attitudes and stuff like that. People. For me, certainly, I've realised that like actually there's no pride in being a full-time musician. Like I was guilty of this. People would say like, I'm a full-time musician.
Full-time musician.
This is my job. Wow. Liberally interpreted, and I do a bit of DJing, and I do a bit of this, and I teach them guitar. It's a load of bollocks, and like I still meet people like that.
Is this where people say now they're a professional musician?
Yeah.
Because full-time, I think, is how we would say it, but now I'm a professional musician, so...
So you make your £40 a week doing music?
Yeah. screwing over promoters.
What brought you to the open mic at the Dog and Duck then? It's like, I briefly made a little bit of money out of music, enough to pay my rent all of the time, whilst paying for a flat I wasn't living in, because the only way to do it was to be on tour. Absolute fucking waste of time. It's fine if you're 20 and you can stay for yourself or stay at your parents. Yeah, then you can be a full-time.
That is also another big thing, I think, you know, like, oh yeah, well I'm a musician, that's all I really want to do, I play gigs all the time, I do this, I do that. Well, I've got the financial backing of my parents, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not criticising those people, but there's definitely a difference between being able to do it because you've got that fallback and doing it because you just have to do it. Anyway.
Oh, that's it. If I had, say I win the lottery, and then I decide I'm just going to spend all my money like doing music, what am I? A millionaire or a professional musician? I'm just a millionaire. Music's not your job, because the income that's coming in from it isn't the thing it's paying for you to do. You can be professional level, like InMe, we're a professional level band.
Yeah,
people
definitely
believe that we are, you know, a real band, and we've sold records.
I would do it if I didn't know you. Yeah, I definitely believe you're a real band.
And people don't, people are surprised that we have day jobs and stuff like that, and they go to a gig, they see it as a professional gig that they've paid to go to and had a good experience, but it's like, it's not our job.
But that's the main thing though.
It brings money in, but
there's a perception that because you're in a band, then that's the people remember you, and that's just not how things work today. And there's no problem with that at all.
And one of the best things I ever did was to abandon that idea, genuinely. Like, to start thinking like, I'm in a band and like, but I have a job, and the job allows me I used to go on tour with InMe and like have to worry about money, and like, I've only got enough for like a couple of beers after tonight. But whereas now, if I go on tour with InMe, I'm on holiday, which means I've got all my normal monthly disposable income from the NHS, and we get bits and bobs while we're out anyway. Like, we get some beers when we're at the shows and stuff, and then fans want to buy you a beer anyway, and it's like, I can just go fucking Costa, M&S, woo. Like, and it's much nicer than like
just enjoy it.
Yeah, and if I don't fancy staying in the same hotel as the band, like, or I want to like stay at my mate's house and whatnot, I can do all that. I don't have to wait. If I need to get a 10-mile taxi, whatever, I can afford to, because I'm not chained just to only earning that little tiny bit of money from the band. And some bands do make serious money doing this stuff, but they're a very small few, and then I think most below that, it's kind of covering your own expenses.
Yeah, I think so. But I think the fact that you're in a position to be able to do that, or any band shouldn't take for granted if they're in a position that they can go anywhere and play to a certain amount of people. It's incredible. And that could disappear in a moment, so definitely enjoy that as much as possible.
Yeah, I remember like we were going on stage when we were playing like White Butterfly and Overburn Eden back to back, whatever. And we had sold, I think it had sold out Coco, which is like a big venue.
Coco, yeah.
We've got this like as footage, like somewhere on YouTube, although it's not publicly released, but we probably will release it soon. Okay. And it's just us backstage getting ready to go on, and we're just chatting, like having a beer, doing a handshake, and then we walk on, the camera follows us, and the whole room erupts. And like we'd said to each other just before that, like, just remember this one, because this might not happen again.
Yeah.
And we knew we'd have more gigs, but going to your bell-shaped curve, there's always a peak, but you never know it till afterwards.
Well, you should just appreciate and make the most of what you have at the time.
Yeah, it's like there's one point in your life when you have the most mates, one point in your life when you have the most friends, there's one point you have the most fun, there's one point you do your biggest gigs. You don't know when any of those things are going to be until you look back on them. So if you get an inkling that something you're doing is like amazing and may not happen again, like, you just got to try and enjoy it and sort of.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love those. I used to get obsessed with those Metallica videos. They do all the walk-ons tour. Like, I get goosebumps just watching it, just seeing them do the huddles and stuff, and then Ecstasy of Gold comes on.
Yeah.
And anything like that. Well, not just Metallica. Any time I see a band that starts off behind the stage and they all just get ready to go on, and you follow them onto the stage. It's amazing.
That's a really good one. I must actually publish that, because that'll be like a really good engagement video. Yeah, let's do that.